Zach, do you know what would happen if these three movies had a baby?
Would it make this one?
Yes, but let me tell you the movies first.
Okay, yeah.
Face Off,
Mm-hmm.
Mission Impossible,
Yeah.
the whole thing,
Mhm.
and
I know what you're going to say.
you're not, the
I'm not.
Battleship Potemkin.
I was not going to say that. Oh, because of the stairs. Yeah. I didn't catch that reference.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
You would get John Wick 4. Hello everyone, we watched Chapter 4 of John Wick.
I'm coming down off the numbness.
Yeah.
Like, the problem with these movies is it makes you numb.
Yeah.
You get numb after a while.
Lots of death.
Yes.
He has a higher body count in this than probably all of the Jason movies and Freddy movies and Michael Myers movies combined.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's so many deaths.
But yes, this is the longest John Wick. It's
It
like
is.
if you're reading a novel and the first 3 chapters are just like boom, 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 and then this one's like, here's everything.
What blows my mind is apparently it was an hour longer. And I don't understand how. Because this still needed cuts.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh my God, what did they cut?
Keanu Reeves is back as the titular John Wick. You have Donnie Yen, Bill Skarsgård, Lawrence Fishburne, Hiroyuki Sanada, Shamir Anderson, Lance Reddick, Rina Sayawama, Scott Adkins, and Ian McShane, and a bunch of dancers who just watch people get murdered
Just not
if
caring.
as if it's no big deal.
But it looks really cool.
But basically, John Wick kills an elder, and then the table decides that they're going to send Bill Skarsgård's character, the Marquis, or Marquise, depending on who says the word, to hunt him down and kill him. And of course, he just hires a bunch of other assassins, and then the assassins fight.
And then they fight for a very, very long time.
A long time. This movie is all fighting. There is probably the opening 30 minutes. Well, I would say it sets up the movie, but you don't really need to set up a John Wick movie.
That's why I was like, why are they bothering? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
But it's like the cool thing about John Wick is the backstory is kind of neat. If if I was 12 years old, this movie would be my favorite movie ever. But it just gets to the action.
Yeah.
Then it does what it does.
The first movie definitely was like, people loved it because how real it was.
Yes.
Whereas now we have Kevlar suits.
Right. It takes like literally like 4 clips to get one guy.
But the way they do it is so interesting because everyone knows that everyone has Kevlar suits on. So they're all just like shooting each other
They
to
like hide it like a cape almost.
Yeah, because they don't want to get headshot. But the way they do it is interesting. So it's like some gun kata, equilibrium stuff.
Like ballet, like dances while they're fighting. It's what these movies are known for. It's cool.
But obviously, I mean, I don't know. For most of the movie, I was just like, okay, whatever. I mean, there were some really cool fights. Well, the Japan Continental fight is really cool, and it's like the opening fight of the movie. It really didn't feel necessary.
I completely agree with you. It was extra long too.
Yeah.
Like there's a part where like you do the story beats where like the guy saves this guy and then he says kill as many as you can, and then it's hilarious because it's like Keanu Reeves fights 3 guys very dramatically, and I'm like, oh well, that was fun. And then he does it again, and then he does it again, and I think it was 4 times.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is way too much.
The final hour of this movie is perhaps the finest action movie set piece I've seen in a while. And we've seen quite a few Mission Impossible movies. Yep. So, and I said a couple weeks ago that Creed 3 had the best fight scene of the year. I still agree with that because it's like an inventive, just like cinematic fight. But these are the best choreographed because there is just so much. They fight in the roundabout around the Arc de Triomphe for about 25 minutes, it feels like.
And a character is the traffic. Like, no one stops. They just keep driving in that roundabout. And, like, Keanu Reeves, like, shoots a gun while he's, like, doing donuts around other people.
Oh,
like,
my God.
Like, the whole thing is a Warriors reference. Mm-hmm. And it's so good.
And then you think that's going to be the end of this, like, fight.
Yep.
But then he has to go up the iconic 255 steps in a France district, they really reference how there's different districts because they're talking about the 8th and whatever. So it's really cool if you've ever been to Paris or ever learned about Paris to know like the different districts. And you're like, oh, that's cool. They're actually, even though John Wick is not real and assassins, there's not that many assassins in the world.
Like, literally everyone's an assassin in
but
these movies.
They keep true to what Paris and how it's constructed and everything. Anyways, he has to go up this huge flight of stairs, and try not to spoil it too much, but it is perhaps the craziest. It's probably top 2 stair sequences. That's why I mentioned Battleship Potemkin, because it references it clearly.
Yes. I didn't even catch it until you said it. I'm like, oh my God, it was,
Yeah, so it's funny that a John Wick movie could have such references, but I mean, every single John Wick seems to have a reference to an old school like movie that set up the genres of things and the way things are shot and everything. Genre's not the right word, but whatever. Donnie Yen playing the blind assassin, I don't know how I feel about it. I'm still on the fence. Like, I love Donnie Yen, but
it's weird that he's done it already.
Yeah.
In Rogue One, Star Wars Rogue One, like he's basically the same character except
he talks
cocky instead of wise.
He talks a little bit more.
Yeah, it's still cool.
And then one other point before we get to our rating, Shamir Anderson's character is basically like, what if John Wick was allowed to have his puppy grow up?
Yeah.
But he has a repeater shotgun, which is really cool. And I mean, again, it's like 4 movies stuffed into one. Like, you could have had Shamira Anderson's character following John Wick. That's a movie.
That is a movie.
You could have had Donnie Yen's character following. That's a movie. You could have had the Marquis, and instead they were like, let's put all the ideas into one.
Just shove it into this was gonna be potentially 4-hour-long movie.
Yeah.
It feels it, but it's well worth it for that third act. Oh
my
God.
It's not like I didn't hate it. It's just I was like, okay, you could have got there a little quicker.
Yes, I completely agree.
I understand like killing the elder at the beginning is the jumping point, but also and it's tying up a loose end of John Wick 3.
Right.
But I was just like,
could have been faster.
How many hiding behind your impenetrable jacket?
This is a 7.5 hiding behind like your cape jacket out of 10. I love these dumb movies. Mm-hmm. This is, I think it's my second favorite besides the first one. And the reason why I like the first one so much is it had emotion in it. Mm-hmm. Like that's the catalyst. Is he's very angry and sad, and then they kind of like forgot about it, and then they kind of
remember it
in this one. They
remember
it. But it's not enough for like an actual story. But man, if like, these movies give you what you want and a lot of it,
I would give it a 7 out of 10. It's as good as the first one, yeah. Obviously, the Japan fight sequence I felt was my whole criticism of the third one was like the final fight was so long, and then that was just the Japan sequence in this one.
Yeah.
And so I was like, please don't. But obviously they saved themselves with the last hour.
Right.
So for the longest time I was gonna be like, oh, this is a 5 out of 10. I can't.
I was kind of like lukewarm on the movie too until that happens.
But it's like a crescendo in a Beethoven or
music.
Chopin or
Chopin.
One of those dudes.
Yeah, one of the wig wearing guys.
But I will say, it's a heavy Warriors reference at the end. So if you love the Warriors, you will love.
That's me.
You will love the end.
You will love it. As soon as I saw the silhouette of the woman on the radio, I'm like, I see what they're doing, and then it like they punch you in the face with it, and like love it.
So yeah, if you love the John Wick movies, you're gonna love this one.
Yes.
If you don't, you should have your date or your spouse or your partner apologize to you in advance.
Yes, because that is very rude. Because you should watch the other 3 first.
But also maybe don't watch this one if you don't like gore, if you don't like lots of dead bodies, if you don't like any of that.
Lots of shooting, lots of guns.
Rated R. So
yes.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Un esercito di